Police officers are exposed to violence and unsafe conditions every day. They know it's what they signed up for.
But most people don't think about the hidden dangers they face every day. ABC 15's Liz Cooper shows us the hidden killers that can change their lives in an instant.
Myrtle Beach police officer Andrew Barrow works the traffic unit. He's seen it all in the 4 years on night patrol.
I've been punched, kicked, pushed, you name it. It's happened.
It's just part of the job.
It just happens so quick usually that you really don't have time to process it. You just act.
But a call from 2015 stands out from the rest.
He was in the Sally Port where we're at now. I walked up. He was really disorderly at the time, so we had to put him into the restraint chair because he was a danger to himself and us.
El Chino Harris was in police custody for a DUI.
Once we got him into the chair, we tried working on the straps to get him secured. At that point, he started spitting. We were trying to get his mouth covered so he couldn't get any spit on us, but unfortunately, where I was standing, he spit straight up, so it hit me in the face.
In an instant.
Once the blood work came back, the whole scenario just got worse.
His life changed.
The doctor let me know there was HIV, and that's obviously the worst thing. You don't want to hear that ever.
And he says what's worse, Harris told police he knew he had HIV.
He knew his only weapon would be his spit. So it definitely made it feel more personal that he would knowingly try to expose us to his disease. So that was a little frustrating.
When an officer's exposed, they see Debbie Borst, an infection control nurse for the city of Myrtle Beach. She spent more than 20 years educating and treating first responders in Horry County for on-the-job disease exposures.
They're worried about gunshots and violence in the workplace, but do they ever think about the medical aspects? No.
Officers can be exposed to viruses like Hepatitis B and Hepatitis C, which attack your liver, and HIV. All of these viruses can be contracted through bodily fluids.
The most serious is the possibility of coming down with Hep C, because there is no vaccine for Hep C, so everybody's concerned about HIV, but, the forgotten virus is Hep C.
Borst says the specific number of exposures to Myrtle Beach police officers is confidential, but she tells me the number of exposures nearly doubled from 2017 to 2018, and she's already seen another increase this year. What's more concerning, she says, is more people who officers are coming in contact with are testing positive for Hepatitis C in the last 6 months.
For my bloodborne exposures, of those 14, 12 of the source patients, several were inmates, several were patients, 12 tested positive for Hep C. That's huge.
She blames the opioid epidemic.
Opioid abusers are resorting to needles now, and they share those needles, they drop those needles. These viruses are being spread not just sexually, but through IV drug use.
In Myrtle Beach, exposures are covered under workman's comp. While the exposures happen on the job, their effects are felt at home.
I've had a couple cases where they were trying to have children. Well, if 6 months you're supposed to avoid or use sexual protection, what about those families that are having fertility problems and in the middle of in vitro treatments?
For Officer Barrow, that also meant 30 days of intense medication to kill the virus, follow-ups and testing for 6 months, and breaking the news of his exposure to his wife.
I just remember the first day being like, I took a step back and I was like, I don't even know if I want to kiss you right now. I was like, I'm nervous.
It's part of the job she never realized.
I think it caught me off guard at first, because when he goes to work, you don't think about those kind of things. And you don't think, somebody with HIV is going to spit on him and there's potentially blood in their saliva. And, all of a sudden, your whole kind of lifestyle has changed.
Officer Barrow never tested positive for HIV, but the risk is always in the back of their minds, something their whole family faces every day.
I said, come home safe, have a good day, but you never know if that'll actually be what happens.
In Myrtle Beach, Liz Cooper, ABC 15 News.
What a story.
Wow.
Yeah. Under South Carolina law, a person is forced to have their blood tested when they've exposed a first responder to their bodily fluid. Now, the man who spit on Officer Barrow pleaded guilty to assaulting him and his partner, who was also spit on. He served 13 months in prison.
He was also charged with exposing HIV to another person. Officer Barrow says that charge was dismissed because the law pertains to sexually transmitting it, not spitting.